we thought the good news coming was going to be the ETF. We knew this was in the background. I always had a decent probability that this was going to happen, but it dropped like a bomb today, and XRP's up 75% in a day. But what it does is it shows that the regulators are overreaching. Now, we don't have that around elsewhere in the world because most of the regulators elsewhere have been reasonably decent about crypto, but the US was the one that weren't. Gensler was really attacking the space. So what that's done is unleashed so many of the larger alt tokens that launched in similar ways to XRP that should not be deemed as security, and that's going to make the space more investable. At the margin, it allows others to enter into the space. We saw XRP get relisted by Coinbase immediately. Okay, that's a big statement. It means that institutions will be more comfortable around it. That allows more people into the space. So people who might have been nervous of Solana or some of the others may look at this now and say, look, the probability of those being called a security is now becoming much smaller by the day, and therefore the risk profile of owning these things is much lower. My personal opinion, and look, I know nothing, is that Gary Gensler was under a lot of fire politically because of saying no, 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 no to everything. And he had said that Bitcoin was not a security. So therefore it becomes really difficult not to allow or to appease the politicians by saying, look, I've passed the bloody Bitcoin ETF. At least I've done something. I'm comfortable with Bitcoin. So my guess is he gave the nod to BlackRock and said, listen, I need to do something. We're going to do this. And they've obviously have an open conversation with the SEC. The SEC had given the guidance as, we will accept this if you do this. So they all did it. What was really amazing within that, bit of humble pie, that the SEC is suing Coinbase while at the same time are going to approve them as a major part of the mechanism of the ETF. And it kind of shows the incongruity of this ridiculous situation they found themselves in. Then you add the XRP ruling, and it makes it really hard for them to stop some of this stuff. So, I think Gensler probably comes under more political pressure because of what's just happened as well. It kind of fuels the politicians, the pro-crypto politicians were like, this is not sustainable. And Gensler's opinion appears to be wrong. So the overreach argument. So overall, these are really good things for the space. Now, the Bitcoin ETF, I've always said the ETF doesn't matter unless the market has momentum. If it has momentum, it becomes this sucking sound of bringing in RAAs in the United States and individual investors and pension plans and others. And lo and behold, we're in the middle of crypto spring where things are starting to really warm up. And that sound of FOMO you hear in the distance is thundering closer and closer. And that's going to bring these people in. So if we continue the way we've been going and prices are rising, and let's say Bitcoin's at 40,000, by the time the ETF comes in, there's going to be a blind panic. Because everybody kind of knows that it's very cyclical as an asset. And that when the cycle goes, it can have tremendous returns. So I think that's going to be in the back of many people's minds who are out of the market right now. And with the Bitcoin ETF, they're going to be more enticed by it. So look, it is very positive. And that capital flow that comes into the space, let's say $10 billion comes in the ETF, whatever, that money then flows into the space. People take profit in their original Bitcoin and gets reinvested into ETH or Solana or whatever else. And then before you know it, recycles into NFTs, because all of these digital assets is a kind of global economy, a separate global economy made up of smaller economies like ETH and Bitcoin. And once you have new foreign direct investment into an economy, things boom. And that's what's going to happen.
It's very interesting. Last year, BlackRock launched their private Bitcoin fund. And I was saying at the time, like, you just wait. BlackRock almost timed the bottom of the market with their Bitcoin fund. I said, BlackRock's got something coming. And here they are. BlackRock did indeed have something coming. Now,
my view for a long time is while I like Bitcoin, of Web3 and crypto is a much larger thing than just a store of value money component, which is an important part of that in itself. And so therefore I've tended to have ETH as my larger bet. And I've had that for a long time because my thesis is these things are all valued on Metcalfe's law, which is network effects. And that's the number of people who use it and then the number of applications really that go on. Now, ETH's equation within that is there's actually more users, the amount of activity is higher because of all the applications, but the sizes of the transactions are smaller. But because so much is being built on top, the network effects grow over time. So over time, I expect it to outperform. But in each bull market, there's another something that does really well. And my eye is on Solana because it's got a large ecosystem, a lot of developer activity, a lot of application layer tools. Now, does that work or not? I don't really know, but I think it's a reasonable probability bet that it's like kind of ETH was in 2018-19, came from the dust down 97% and survived. The Lindy effect of surviving a massive bear market, with all the FTX stuff is a good thing. Could it be another ecosystem that takes fire? Of course, and many will. So it's just a very interesting time. One of the things that I try and focus people's mind on as they get a bit lost in day-to-day price action is $65 billion of venture capital money went into this space in 2020 and 2021. The products that were built are going to be coming out in this bull market.
Mm-hmm.
So if you remember the last bull market, it was like DeFi, NFTs, social tokens. What's it going to be this time around? We don't know, but there's going to be a lot of stuff because a lot of money went into some really smart teams who were building all sorts of applications and ecosystems. And I've had broad baskets of stuff, but what happens with the broad basket for me is I don't focus on any of it.
Mm-hmm.
So some stuff pumps and I don't take profits, and other stuff, it's not big enough, so it just falls and you don't notice it. So I actually find I operate better with concentrated bets.
Mm-hmm.
So really, yes, I've still got a small basket of stuff that I own, maybe 5 or 6. Really, it's all in 2. It's all in ETH and Solana. And then I have a bunch of NFTs on top. And I think that's a relatively safe bet of ETH with a slightly riskier bet of Solana, but not too risky.